And we've been talking about holiday travel all week. The Federal Aviation Administration says this year's Thanksgiving travel period is expected to be the busiest that we've seen in 15 years. Now, in the middle of the rush, Frontier has decided to expand its presence at Hartsfield-Jackson. Starting tomorrow on Thanksgiving, the budget airliner is going to be launching a direct flight from Atlanta to Memphis International Airport. Tickets for this service will start at about $200 round trip, $100 one way.